Hello everyone, and today I would like to present proofs of proof of stake with sublinear complexity. The word trust in today's digital era has evolved from merely being a humanly assurance to a core part of today's digital infrastructure. If we look at most of the digital applications that we use today, we trust some centralized server located at unknown part of the world to keep our data secure, to keep our identity secure, and also to guard our digital footprint. But as we have seen in the past, this trust is not always warranted. Now enters blockchains. Blockchains allow for distributing this trust over a decentralized network of nodes, which makes it extremely difficult to break the system. Even though blockchain promises this decentralized and trustless world, in reality, we are far from being decentralized. And let's look into that how. So let's consider Bob, who has some tokens on a blockchain, and he wants to know his balance. To do so, he can run his favorite lightweight wallet like MetaMask. This wallet will call a third-party provider like Infura or Alchemy and get the latest state, get the latest balance. Internally, this third-party provider is responsible for all the heavy lifting where it runs the full nodes of the network. This is the architecture used by most of the blockchain users out there. It is extremely fast for the users, but all the heavy lifting is done by the RPC provider. Now, a question to ask here is, what happens if this third-party provider is compromised? In that case, he can simply return incorrect balance, and Bob will simply see incorrect balances. So this third-party provider is a central point of failure for most of the blockchain users out there. Not only that, it is a huge liability for the provider because once it's compromised, all of its users are also immediately compromised. A more secure approach for Bob would be to run his own full nodes. The full node first connects to multiple other full nodes in the network, and as long as at least one of the full nodes is honest, it syncs to the correct state of the network, and then Bob can again use his wallet to get the latest state of the network. Unfortunately, this requires downloading over 500 gigabytes of data and can take up to a week to sync. This is basically not feasible for an average user to do. So in this presentation, we will go over constructions which are both efficient while still being secure to actually achieve the dream world of blockchains, where things are decentralized and trustless. So for the sake of this presentation, we will use Ethereum as an example, which is one of the most adopted blockchains out there. But the constructions proposed in the presentation can be used for most of the proof-of-stake blockchains out there. So in Ethereum, all of the state of Ethereum is committed in form of a Merkle tree, where the leaf of the Merkle tree is the account information. So let's say I would like to know, let's say I know the latest block header, and I would like to know what is my balance. To do so, I can ask any friendly but untrusted prover to provide me the correct account information and a Merkle inclusion proof to the state root. And once I've verified this Merkle inclusion proof, I can be certain that the account information provided by the node is correct. So from now on, we can reduce our problem of finding the latest state to just knowing the latest block header, which has the state root. In Ethereum, there are full nodes, and full nodes have to lock certain amount of ethers to participate in the network, and these nodes are referred to as validators. The time is divided into slots, and validators are selected randomly, proportional to their stake, to propose a block in a particular slot. So if you think about a client who wants to verify a block produced in a particular slot, he needs to know the block proposer. And to know the block proposer, he needs to know the stake distribution table and the randomness used to elect the block proposer. Currently, there are over 100,000 Ethereum validators, and the stakes of the validators are continuously changing. So this makes it extremely difficult for a client to keep track of the stakes efficiently. To do so, Ethereum introduces something called as sync protocol. In sync protocol, the overall 100,000 Ethereum validator set is sampled into a small committee of size 512, and the slots are chunked into bigger periods of roughly 1 day, referred to as sync period. And this committee is elected for each period. The committee is responsible for 2 tasks. One, the committee is responsible for signing every block produced in this period. Second, it is responsible for signing the next committee, and so on. So now we will use the sync protocol to construct a more efficient client construction. So let's consider Bob again, who knows the Genesis committee and would like to know the latest block header. To do so, he can ask the nodes in the network to provide the signatures of the Genesis committee on the first committee. And once it has verified the signatures, it has learned the first committee. Then it asks again the provers to provide the signatures of the first committee and the second committee, and so on, until he learns the latest committee. And once he has learned the latest committee, he can ask for the signatures of the latest committee to the latest block. And once it has learned the latest block, it can use a Merkle inclusion proof to know his balances. This still requires Bob to download the public key of the sync committee every period, which is roughly 100 megabytes for a chain size of 10 years. This is still not efficient to run on a smartphone, right? So far we have seen 2 constructions: the full node, which requires downloading all the blocks, times the block size, and the light client, which requires only the sync committees and has a complexity of sync periods times the sync committee size plus the Merkle proof size. So now, can we do something better? One thing to note here is that once we use the sync protocol, once we have the latest committee, we can verify any of the blocks in the recent period. So we can reduce our problem from finding the latest block to just finding the latest committee. OK, so before we go into the final construction, let's look into a straw man construction. So Bob would like to know the latest committee, and he connects to 2 full nodes. We'll call these full nodes as provers and Bob as the client. Now, in the case that both the full nodes are honest, they will be saying the same thing, and we can listen to one of them and we'll be done. So let's consider the difficult scenario where one of them is malicious, in which case they'll be saying something different. OK, so Bob asks both the provers to compute the hash of the public keys for each of the committees. And then Bob can linearly check the hashes provided by both the provers until he finds the first point of disagreement. Here I'm using colors to show agreement and disagreement. So we can see that at C4, both the provers are disagreeing, while at C3, they agree. So Bob finds the first point of disagreement and then asks both the provers to open the sync committee of the last agreeing committee. So that is C3. And then asks both the provers to present the signatures of the last agreeing committee to the first point of disagreement, which is C4. As the committee is honest, only one of them should be able to present sufficient signatures. Now Bob can use this to distinguish between the honest and the malicious provers. This still requires downloading the hash of the sync committee for every period. So the complexity is still sync periods times the hash size plus the Merkle proof size. We can see that the linear complexity here is coming from finding the first point of disagreement. So the question is, how can you find the first point of disagreement efficiently? OK, so now is the time for the final construction. We'll build a super light client for proof-of-stake blockchains. So now what Bob does is Bob asks both the provers to compute the Merkle tree where the leaves of the tree are the sync committee hashes. And then Bob asks both of the provers to present the root of the tree. As we are in the scenario where one of the provers is malicious, the root should differ. So Bob asks both the provers to present the children of the roots. And then again, I'm using colors to show agreement and disagreement. In our example, the left child is same and the right child is different. So he again asks the prowess to present the children of the right child, and so on, until we reach the leaf of the tree, and the leaf of the tree is the first point of disagreement. So we can see C4 in our example. And at the first point of disagreement, he asks both the prowess to again open the point before that, which is C3, and then use the same as a strawman construction to present the signatures from the last point of agreement to the point of disagreement, which can be done efficiently. The complexity of this construction is just log the sync periods, and the overall complexity is just log sync periods times the hash size plus the Merkle-Proof size. So this is an exponential improvement over all the existing constructions out there. Not only did we propose this construction, but we actually implemented a production-ready tool that people can use to make their wallet secure. You can almost think of it like a firewall for your wallet. And we call it Kevlar, like a bulletproof vest. Kevlar runs in your local system as a daemon, and it connects to multiple other RPC providers in the network. And as long as one of them is honest, it will very quickly sync to the latest state of the network. And once it has synced, it will start an RPC server, which you can connect to your wallet. So you can use your existing wallets, just connect it to the local running daemon, and now your wallet is completely secure. This comes to the end of the presentation. Overall, the construction that we propose is 100x better in bytes downloaded and 10x better in time to sync. I would recommend all of you guys to try it out. It's there. It's open source. Yeah, so this is going to make blockchains decentralized and trustless. Thank you.